Hello everybody, welcome to KPIS Delhi's CARE Initiative, Current Affairs through Reverse Engineering. These are the articles that we'll be seeing today. Iran launches drone attacks against Israel in first ever full-scale military assault. Alright, so this is the news snippet and the context also. Actually, Iran has been threatening to attack Israel since an airstrike killed 2 Iranian generals in Syria. Okay, and Israel has not commented on that attack, but Iran accused it of being behind the attacks. Okay, and you all know that Israel is having a strong military, and Israel's prime minister vowed his country would achieve victory after the military said it has shot down almost all the more than 300 drones and missiles launched by Iran in a sharp escalation of conflict in the Middle East. Okay, now you need to know some important basics about Israel's defense systems. Okay, first one is the Arrow. Okay, this system was developed with the help of USA and it is designed to intercept long range missiles. Okay, the second one is David's sling. Okay, it was also with the help of USA, but it is meant to intercept medium range missiles. This is long range now, this is medium range. And the third one is Patriot. Okay, this is American made system and it is the oldest member of Israel's missile defense system. Okay, it was used during the first Gulf War in the year 1999 to intercept Scud missiles fired by Iraq's leader at that time, who was Saddam Hussein. Okay, the Patriot is now used to shoot down aircraft, including drones. This you have to remember. And Iron Dome, as we have discussed in the previous sessions, this system is developed by Israel with the help of USA backing, and it specializes in shooting down short range rockets. Okay, this is long range missiles, medium range, and Iron Dome is short range. All right. Now, this Iron Dome has a success rate of over 90%. Okay, and it is actually used against Hamas and Hezbollah. Now coming to Iron Beam, Israel is developing a new system to intercept incoming threats with laser technology. That's why it is beam, laser beam. Okay, laser technology, and Israel has said the system will be a game changer because it is much cheaper to operate than the existing systems, and this is not yet operationalized. Okay, so the Arrow, David Sling, Patriot, Iron Dome, and Iron Beam, these are all Israel's defense systems. Consider the following pairs of Israel and its missile defense system. Missile defense system, the Arrow. Description: intercept medium range missiles exclusively. No, this is wrong because we've just seen that the Arrow actually intercepts missiles in the long range. Okay, so the Arrow defense system will intercept long range missiles exclusively. Coming to David Sling and Arrow both are developed with the help of USA, but Arrow is for long range and David Sling is for medium range. Okay, now we'll see what the description says. Intercept long range missiles exclusively. No, this is not long range, this is medium range. Now coming to Patriot. This was also made using US help. Okay, it is used to shoot down aircraft including drones. This is the correct description. Iron Dome, this was also in place with the help of USA. Iron Dome is used in shooting down short range rockets. This is correct. Okay, and this Iron Dome technology was used, or the system was used against Hamas and Hezbollah, and Israel claims that it has a success rate of over 90%. All right. So Arrow is for long range, David Sling is for medium range, Iron Dome is for short range. Now, which of the above pairs are correctly matched? 3 and 4, B is the answer. Now, consider the following: Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, MTCR, that is Missile Technology Control Regime, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. We've seen basics about Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank in the CARE sessions. However, I'll tell you some basics about AIIB. It was in place from 2016, headquartered in Beijing, China. And yes, India is a founding member. India joined in 2016 itself. This is right. Okay. And it is considered as a rival to World Bank and IMF. Can non-Asian countries be a part of it? Yes. For example, Fiji and New Zealand are a part of this Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. As of 2024, January, there are 109 members, of which 47 are regional members, 48 are non-regional members. You can see that non-regional members are more than the regional members, and there are 14 countries who are prospective members. Okay, in the year 2023, this 4 members actually were made prospective members. What are those countries? El Salvador, Solomon Islands, Tanzania, and Mauritania. Okay, so these are some basics you should remember. And China has the highest voting power, followed by India. All right, Japan and USA are not part of this institution. You have to remember they are part of ADB and they have highest voting share in ADB, but not in AIIB. All right, so India, yes, it is a part of AIIB. India is a member of which of the above, right? So 1 is correct, which means B and C are gone. 2 is correct. SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Yes, India is a part. It joined SCO in the year 2017. All right. So D is the answer. IMF confirms Kristalina Georgieva for second 5-year term. So this is the context and the news snippet. Here you should understand one point, that there was a controversial decades-old agreement between Europe and the United States. What was the agreement about? It said that the IMF has been led by a European historically and World Bank by USA citizen. Okay, so which means this lady is not from USA but she is from Europe. Okay, she's actually a Bulgarian. Okay, since 2019 she was the head, and now second 5-year term, she is re-elected. All right, so it was a decision taken by consensus. And who is heading the World Bank? It is Ajay Banga. He is an Indian-born naturalized US citizen, and the Biden administration nominated him to head the World Bank, and currently he is the head. All right. And if you see her tenure from 2019 to the present year, the IMF has helped countries facing financial difficulties due to the pandemic, right? That was the peak of pandemic, the havoc wrought by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the war that is happening, and the countries facing financial crisis like Pakistan, Sri Lanka. All right. So all these things happened during her tenure, and the IMF has actually helped them. What are the important milestones during her tenure? One is the 2021 SDR enhancement. SDR stands for Special Drawing Rights, and the SDRs actually, it increased the allocation of special drawing rights to member countries by 456 billion units, equivalent to US dollar 650 billion. All right. Now, what are these SDRs? What is the function? SDRs function as universally accepted international reserve asset that can be exchanged with hard currencies and used outside of IMF for different purposes. And second is the IMF's Resilience Sustainability Trust. This is IMF's Resilience Sustainability Trust, and it was in place in the year 2022. It helps low income and vulnerable middle income countries to build resilience to against external shocks. Okay, so it will actually contribute to their long term balance of payment stability. All right, so this is one thing. And the third one is food shock window. Food shock window. So IMF funds looked after by executive board approved the creation of a food shock window in September 2022. Okay, to actually help countries cope with food shortages and rising costs stemming from the Russia and Ukraine war. All right, so these are some things. Now we'll come to some basics of IMF. IMF has its headquarters in Washington, D.C. All right, and it is a Bretton Woods twin. That means it was formed in the year 1944, and yes, India is a founding member, and it is a specialized UN agencies, and the voting power here is proportional to the quota. All right, and new arrangement to borrow was in place. New arrangement to borrow was in place from 2019. So IMF would borrow from the member states. This is the additional fund for mobilization. And the size of NAB was doubled in 2021. All right. The overall lending capacity of IMF is $1 trillion. All right. And you should understand that the managing director of IMF is selected by executive board. Okay, it is a 24-member executive board, and individual countries do not cast votes. Okay, the members of this executive board will actually select the managing director by a majority of votes cast, and the objective of the executive board is to select the managing director by consensus. All right, so these are some basics. And what are the reports that IMF releases? One is the World Economic Outlook. Okay, then Global Financial Stability Report. Okay, and Fiscal Monitoring Report. Fiscal Monitoring Report. So these are some basics. Now, consider the following statements with regards to International Monetary Fund. In August 2021, the IMF increased its allocation of special drawing rights to member countries to about $650 billion. So we've just discussed during the tenure of the managing director, Kristalina Georgieva, some of the major achievements we've just discussed, right? So one of the achievements is this, that the IMF increased its allocation of special drawing rights to member countries to about $650 billion. Okay, that is 456 billion units. When you convert it into dollar, it is this much. All right, so this is right. The IMF Executive Board had reappointed Kristalina Georgieva to serve for the second 5-year term running the International Financial Institution. This is correct because from 2019 to 2024 she was there, and the managing director is re-elected, okay, through consensus. And you should also remember that the individual countries will not cast their vote. It is the board of directors that 24-member board directors will cast their vote and elect through consensus. All right, so this is right. Now, food shock window was started in September 2022 by IMF as a mechanism to help vulnerable countries cope with the food shortages stemming from Russia's war in Ukraine. This is right. Under a decades-old agreement, the International Monetary Fund has historically been led by a US citizen. No, it is European citizen. US citizen heads the World Bank. All right, so this is wrong. Now, which of the above statements are correct? 1, 2, and 3 are right. 4th is wrong. See, because there's European and US supremacy in these institutions like IMF and World Bank, AIIB, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, is actually a rival, is quoted as often seen as a rival to this IMF and World Bank. Because here there's Asian supremacy. China has a highest voting power, followed by India. And Japan and USA are not part of this AIIB as discussed earlier. Now, gold tranche or reserve tranche refers to a loan system of the World Bank. No, this is wrong. This gold tranche or reserve tranche is an emergency account that IMF members can access at any time without agreeing to conditions of paying a service fee. Alright, so it is not related to World Bank, but it is related to IMF. One of the operations of central bank? No. A credit system granted by WTO? No. A credit system granted by IMF to its members? Yes. D is young. With 25% inflation, Pakistan has the highest cost of living in Asia, says ADB's report. So the context and the news snippet is given in one statement. So the Asian Development Outlook report, which is given by ADB, painted a... So this is one statistics. And second point is, ADB said during the current fiscal year, the country's economic growth rate might remain at which countries? Pakistan's. It's at 1.9%, and this is the fourth lowest. Then what is the least? What are the other three with the least percentage of growth? Myanmar, next Azerbaijan, Nauru, then comes Pakistan. Okay, so first, second, third, fourth, least. Okay, so this is the worst country in terms of growth rate according to ADB. Second versus Azerbaijan, third is Nauru, fourth versus Pakistan. All right. Now some basics about ADB as we've discussed in the earlier sessions also, but I'll give you a quick revision. Asian Development Bank is headquartered in Manila, Philippines. Okay. And it was formed in the year 1966. And yes, India is a founding member, and this ADB actually has UN observer status, and it also admits, going by the name you might think that only Asian countries are a part of it. No, it also admits non-Asian countries. For example, Japan and USA. Japan is an Asian country, but USA is not, right? So Japan and Asia have the highest voting power. Okay, Japan, USA have the highest voting power. That means it has scope to include non-Asian countries also, followed by China and then India. So India has the fourth largest voting power. Fifth is Australia. Australia is also a non-Asian country and it's a part. Okay, and it has released Strategy 2030 report. Okay, and it has also helped to set up a global skills park in Bhopal. So these are some basics you have to remember. Consider the following statements. Statement 1. As per the recent reports, Pakistan has become the most expensive nation in Asia. That is precisely the context of this article, right? With 25% inflation, Pakistan has the highest cost of living in Asia. That is not because of development, but because of the inflation. Okay. Now, statement 2. Asian Development Outlook projected 15% inflation rate for the next fiscal year for Pakistan, which is the highest among 46 countries. See, this is correct because for the current fiscal year, it is 25% inflation. For the next fiscal year, the ADB projected 15% inflation rate, and currently it has the fourth lowest pace of growth, right, with 1.9%. The first, the least growth is in Myanmar, then Azerbaijan, Nauru, and fourth least is Pakistan with 1.9%. Okay, and for the current fiscal year, it is projected 2.8% growth rate, and it is set to be fifth. Okay, that is for 2024 and 25. All right, you should remember that. So this is fourth, but ADB is projecting that it would be 15% and 2.8% in the current not the current fiscal year, but the next fiscal year. All right, so this is next fiscal year, that is 2024 to 2025. This is currently the state. All right, so this is also correct. Now, which one of the following is correct in respect of the above statements? Both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, and statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. So if you read them combinedly, this is about the current situation and this is about the next fiscal year, right? So this is not the correct explanation of this one. Had they given 25% inflation rate and 1.9% growth rate, then it would be correct. Alright, so both statement 1 and 2 are individually correct, but statement 2 is not correct explanation for statement 1. B is the answer. Alright, now what is the importance of developing Chabahar port by India? India's trade with African countries will enormously increase? No. India's relation with oil producing Arab countries will be strengthened? No. First of all, you need to know where this Chabahar port is and when was it signed. The Chabahar port was signed in the year 2003 and it is situated in Sistan and Balochistan province in southeastern part of Iran on the Gulf of Oman. Okay, so this you have to know. Now, through this, see, this is India. Okay, now here you have Pakistan. Now, here there's Iran. Here you'll have Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, and everything. Here Pakistan has Gwadar port, and here Iran has Chabahar port. So, to surpass Pakistan's permission to get into connectivity with Afghanistan and Central Asia, India has actually wanted to develop Chabahar port so that it can surpass this route. Okay, so that is the context. Now, India will not depend on Pakistan for access to Afghanistan and Central Asia. Yes, C is the answer. First Indian space tourist to fly on Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin's NS-25 mission. So this is the context. Who is this first Indian? What is this NS-25 mission? And what is NS in this NS-25 mission? The first Indian is Mr. Gopi Thotakura. He was selected as one of the 6 crew members for the mission, making him the first Indian space tourist. Space tourist. And the second Indian after Rakesh Sharma to venture into space. Okay. So this is it about Gopi Thotakura. Now we'll see some of basics about this NS-25 mission. What is this NS? NS stands for New Shepherd. New Shepherd. Not Shepherd, Shepherd. New Shepherd program. And this is its 25th mission. It has successfully, Blue Origin has successfully completed 24 missions. Now, what is this New Shepherd? It is a fully reusable suborbital launch vehicle developed for space tourism. This is important. Space tourism. By whom? By Jeff Bezos owned Blue Origin company. And it is named after Mercury astronauts Alan Shepard, the first American to go into space. Okay, and as I told you that it is reusable suborbital rocket system, it was designed to take astronauts and research payloads past the Kármán line. What is this? It is internationally recognized boundary of space. Okay. Whether you are an astronaut flying with Blue Origin or sending a payload to space, the 11-minute flight on New Shepard will definitely be an experience of lifetime, right? Now, the capsule has a room for 6 astronauts. One of them is Gopi Thotakura. Okay, the spacious and pressurized crew capsule is environmentally controlled for comfort and every astronaut gets their own window seat. Okay, the vehicle L is fully autonomous. That means there are no pilots. That you have to remember very, very, very clearly. Okay, and this Shepard rocket, New Shepard rocket, that is NS-25 mission, currently that we are discussing, It climbs to 100 kilometers from Earth's surface. 100 kilometers from Earth's surface, staying in space long enough for the crew aboard to experience weightlessness and allows one to observe Earth's curvature. Okay, so it is like a space trip. And among the six members, one is Kopi Totakura, right? The other one is Captain Ed Dwight. He was actually selected by President John F. Kennedy in 1961 as nation's first black astronaut, astronaut candidate, but he was never granted the opportunity to fly into space. So he is also coming aboard. Okay, and the and each one important thing tidbit you should remember that during the flight, each astronaut will carry a postcard to space on behalf of Blue Origin's foundation, that is Club for Future. Okay, Club for the Future. So this program gives students access to space on Blue Origin's rockets, including an all-digital method to create and send postcards. The club's mission is to inspire and mobilize future generations to pursue careers not just in STEM but STEAM. What is the STEAM? S is for science, T is for technology, E is for engineering, A is for arts, and M is for mathematics for the benefit of Earth. All right. So these are some basics. And as I told you, this is reusable, right? Which means it is environmentally friendly. 99% of New Shepard's dry mass is reused, including the booster, capsule, engine. Okay, and it is fueled by highly efficient liquid oxygen and hydrogen. And during the flight, the only byproduct is water vapor with no carbon emissions. All right, so it is environmentally friendly. Now, consider the following statements with regards to Blue Origin's NS-25 mission. New Shepard is fully reusable suborbital launch vehicle developed for space tourism by Blue Origin. Yes, this is right. Gopi Thotakura is said to become the first Indian to venture into space as a tourist on Blue Origin's NS-25 mission. See, as a tourist, yes, he is the first person. As a space tourist, he's the first person, and second Indian to venture, first tourist from India, space tourist from India, and second Indian to venture into space after Indian Army's Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma. Okay, in 1984. All right, so these both statements are right. Rakesh Sharma didn't go like a space tourist. He carried out all the scientific experiments planned for the joint Indo-Soviet space mission and other tasks assigned to him with great facility and excellence. Now, with reference to AstroSat, the astronomical observatory launched by India, which of the following statements is are correct? See, you have to remember one thing, that AstroSat is India's first dedicated multi-wavelength space observatory, and AstroSat will observe universe in optical, ultraviolet, low and high energy X-ray regions of the electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, so different wavelengths, it is observing universe in different wavelengths, right? So that's why it is multi-wavelength. Okay, and India's observatory will be the fourth in space after USA, Russia, and Japan. All right, now we'll come to the question. Other than USA and Russia, India is the only country to have launched a similar observatory into space. This is wrong because it is the fourth country and Japan is also there in this club. This is wrong. AstroSat is a 2000 kg satellite placed in an orbit 1650 km above the Earth's surface. See, it is not 1650, it is 650, and the weight also is around 1500 kgs. Okay, so this is also wrong. So first statement and second statement, both of them are wrong. Select the correct answer. So none of the above statements is correct. Law on disclosure of assets. Whose assets? Of the people who are contesting to be people's representatives. All right. So some of them have failed to actually comply with the election law and disclose their assets. Some of the candidates who are contesting have failed to do so. All right. And recently, Supreme Court has given a verdict. What did it say? It said that Assets not amounting to substantial nature need not be disclosed. If it is not substantial in nature, you don't need to disclose. Why did it say so? You have to know the background of this. What happened in 2019, an independent candidate from Arunachal Pradesh actually won the election. A candidate who lost the election filed a case against him saying that he hasn't disclose some immovable properties in the names of his wife and children. Okay, so Itanagar bench of High Court, okay, actually a High Court bench, Itanagar bench of High Court of Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram, and Arunachal Pradesh accepted these allegations and declared this person one's election as void. Now, Supreme Court set aside this particular verdict and said that if it is not amounting to non-substantial nature, then the assets need not be disclosed. Okay, as so his election is valid according to Supreme Court. Okay, and um, it rejected the contention that the voters' right to know all particulars is absolute. The Supreme Court said there was no need for a candidate to lay bare his entire life to the electorate. Okay? And it also said that it is not necessary to declare every item of movable property unless it is of such value and of some size, and unless and until it reflects upon the lifestyle of one's not once of a candidate, the voter does not need to know about it. Okay, however, the court cautioned that there cannot be a straight jacket rule on this, and what omission is of substantial character, this one substantial character, or will affect the outcome will depend on the facts of each case. Okay, so this is the background you should understand. And what are the related sections you should know? See, section 125A of RPI or RPA 1951 prescribes a 6-month prison term or a fine or both for any candidate's failure to disclose the required information or giving false information. Okay, so this is one thing. Representation of People's Act of 1951, section 125A, you should know, and section 100 of the same act. What does section 100 say? Section 100 says an election can be declared void if there is improper acceptance of any non-compliance with the provisions of the Constitution or the Act. Which Act? Representation of People's Act of 1951, or any rules or orders made under this Act. Alright, so it discusses about improper acceptance of any non-compliance, section 100. Okay, and you should also understand that Supreme Court in the year 2003 actually struck down section 33B of the Act. What does section 33B deal with? Section 33B actually said that we are nullifying ECI's notification by saying no to disclosure other than those prescribed in the Act of 1951. That means, see, whatever is there under RPA Act of 1951, only that we will disclose. ECI's or Election Commission of India's notification has no worth. That's what they said. But in 2003, Supreme Court actually struck this section down, and it has actually restored the disclosure requirements regarding assets and liabilities and their educational qualifications. Alright, so these are some basic. Which of the following statements is correct? Under section 100, an election can be declared void if there is improper acceptance of any non-compliance with the provisions of the Constitution or of this Act or of any rules or orders made under this Act. Yes, this is correct. We have just seen that under section 100 of the RPA Act of 1951, election can be declared void. Okay, if there is improper acceptance of any non-compliance with respect to provisions of the Constitution. Now, section 125A of RPA 1951 prescribes a 6-month prison term. Yes, it actually prescribes punishment Okay, for failure by of candidate, if he fails to failure of candidate, disclose the information required. Okay, um, so for any candidate's failure to disclose the required information, or giving false information, or concealing such information, this is right. Now the Supreme Court on March 13, 2003 struck down Section 33B and restored the disclosure requirements regarding assets and liabilities and educational qualifications. This is true because Section 33B of the Act actually said that we do not care about ECI, that is Election Commission of India's notification, and whatever is it asked to disclose, we will not do it. We will only disclose the things mentioned under RPA Act of 1951. All right, so the Supreme Court said nothing doing, I am going to strike it down. You have to disclose whatever is required. Okay, so all of the above are correct because they're asking correct statement. Now, with reference to Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha, consider the following statements. As per the rules of procedure and conduct of business in Lok Sabha, the election of Deputy Speaker shall be held on such date as the Speaker may fix. This is correct. And you should also know that the Deputy Speaker and Speaker play a pivotal role in the houses, right? Now, the election of Deputy Speaker is governed by Rule 8 of the Rules of Procedure and Conduct of Business in Lok Sabha. Okay. Now, which of the statements given above are correct? First statement is right. C and D are gone. Now, 3 is common. Alright, that means 3 is correct. Okay, here 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, so third statement is correct. You don't need to read it. Now come to the second statement. Fourth statement is obviously wrong because it's not given here. I mean, it's given here, but the options are wrong. There is a mandatory provision that the election of the candidates as Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha shall be from either the principal opposition party or the ruling party. This is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because since the 11th Lok Sabha, there has been a consensus that the Speaker should come from the ruling party and the post of Deputy Speaker goes to the main opposition party. Alright, so second statement is wrong. So this is wrong. A is the correct answer. This is it for today. All the best.